Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about PlayStation 5. Because the past few weeks, all we've heard about on YouTube is this miraculous PS5 Pro that's coming out and all these leaked specs and 67 teraflops and all this other stuff that actually means nothing. Because where are the games? I mean, yes, we can have a stronger console, great. But what are we going to play on it? And this is why I think people are getting caught up in the wrong thing with PlayStation 5. Everyone's getting caught up in power. And it's become this new trend of like everything has to be more powerful. Everything has to be more powerful. That was the trend with smartphones for many years, until smartphones reached a peak where they started focusing on cameras, started focusing on battery life, started focusing on other stuff that actually meant more than just how powerful the phone was. And it's great that I can use my phone, like I'm using my phone right now to film this video. It's great that I can use my phone for purposes like that. But power isn't everything. And I think people, when they compare stuff like the old PS4, PS5, it's like, yes, we can get better ray tracing. We can get all this stuff. We can get, I don't know, 8K resolution if people have 8K TVs, maybe. Maybe that's why people are so excited about it. If they've bought into the trend of 8K TVs, then yeah, a PS5 Pro would be ideal for those sort of people. But I go back to my original point. Where are the games? And this is the thing. Yes, Spider-Man's there. Spider-Man is definitely there. Spider-Man 2, great game on the console. One of the best of the generation. But it seems like everything else is a remaster. And obviously, when we have too many remasters, it feels like they're not even focusing on building new games. As I said in a previous video, we had, for 3 generations, The Last of Us. That is a PS3 game that got remastered on the PS4 and remade on the PS5. And yes, you can say, oh, but it added graphics, it added blood, it added all these enhancements. It's like, yes, but it's essentially the same story you've played year after year after year. And you might say, you don't need to change the story. It's great as it was. Like Breaking Bad, for example, I've got a TV show over here, Breaking Bad. Like everyone's seen it at this point, so I don't think I'm really spoiling it. If you haven't seen it, yeah. But you have something like Breaking Bad. Imagine what we would have right now if they went back every other year, if Vince Gilligan went back every other year and said, okay, we're going to change this and we're going to redo Heisenberg's mustache with like CGI like they did with Henry Cavill as Superman or whatever. What will we have now if they just kept going back, remaking it, remaking? And we've seen some actually really bad ports of what can happen if a company's just phoning it in and just doing it for the cash grab. And I'm not saying it was a cash grab, but I am saying with Rockstar, the definitive edition should not have been released. That edition coming out hurt the legacy of those 3 games, the 3 PlayStation 2 Grand Theft Auto games. So you had GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, and classic games. We also had them up and running through PS2 Classics on PS4 and PS5. I've got the PS2 Classic versions on this console. But when they put out Definitive Edition, it kind of really hurt the legacy of Rockstar and those games. And now if Rockstar puts something out, like a remaster, we've always get into this mentality of like, well, is it Definitive Edition? And we saw what else? We saw the polar opposite of that, which was Red Dead Redemption. When they pulled that over to PS4 and PS5, that wasn't even, I mean, it looks beautiful on PS5, I'll say that. But you're paying 74 bucks in Australia. That's what I paid for it because, and don't judge me because I wanted to play the game and I was willing to pay it. And it was my choice and I wanted to play that game. But I should have been able to put the disc in my console, my most powerful console on the planet. I should have been able to put my freaking disc in here from PS3 era and play it. If I'm paying 750 bucks for a console, I should have backwards compatibility in the thing. And yes, you can say backwards compatibility is through PlayStation Plus. You have all these games. You just have to subscribe. Dude, I own the disc. I should be able to put the disc in that disc tray right there. As long as it has a disc tray, I should be able to put the disc in there and play it from PS5, PS3. I should be able to put in Crash Bandicoot from PS1 and play it in there. But this trend of just, oh, you will just subscribe and we'll give you the games we want you to have. Or, hey, pay $74 for a not even remaster, it's just like a port. And if you do get a remaster, you don't know if it's going to be definitive edition like GTA did with the original trilogy, or if it's going to be a gem like, what's a really good remaster? I heard The Last of Us is really good. I haven't actually played The Last of Us remade, the remakes on PS5. I haven't played them. I've got it. But this is the thing. I don't want to play the remakes. I don't want to play it. I've played The Last of Us over and over again. And if I was going to play the game, don't get me wrong, I will go back and play it eventually. But if I want to experience it, I want to experience it the way I experienced it initially, which was the lower resolution. I like the older animations. Like, the older animations had some character to them. I mean, a game that got remastered recently was Life is Strange. And one of my favourite games of all time. I would rank it in my top 5. Really great game. The original one, Max Caulfield. And Chloe as well. But really great game. Love that game. I tried playing the remaster and I was like, what have they done to the animation? Like, the animation's alright, don't get me wrong. It looks beautiful, it looks pristine. You see a bit more emotion on Max's face, I guess. But, like, it doesn't beat the original. And I'm sure they'll do the same thing with The Walking Dead eventually, like the story of Lee and Clementine and all that. I'm sure they've probably done some sort of remaster to that already, but it's like, can we just stop remastering things? Can we just put backwards compatibility? All the resources they're spending on remaster, remake. If we just have backwards compatibility, they could focus on new games, creating the new catalogue of games, and then we would want to pick up these consoles because we would have a huge catalogue of games coming out on the horizon. Horizon is another great game. I'll give them credit for that. But, you know, we'll have a lot more games on the horizon, and we'll want to buy these consoles because the only way you can play them is on PS5. And that's another thing. Stop putting them out on PS4. I mean, yes, PS4 is still a juggernaut. People couldn't get this console, PS5, for a long time because of the chip shortage and 2020, what happened in that year. But we're in 2024 now. Why are we still releasing new games on PS4? And you might say, but it has a bigger player base. Yes, we get it. But there comes a time where you just have to say, the last generation's holding back the new generation, and you need to cut it and go, okay, PS5 is the full focus now. Now's the time to buy, and if you don't want to buy, there will be no more games coming out on PS4. And that's great. Like, just say that. Be upfront with the consumer and say, okay, we cannot keep focusing on the PS4 because it is taking up too much of our resources. It's holding back games from their full potential. And also, I could say it's holding back games from their full potential if they actually released games for this thing. And what I mean by that is, like, look, there are games coming out for it. And I will be clear about that. There are games coming out for it. But I'm talking about legendary games. Like, look, out of this generation, every other generation, you go back and you look at, okay, what is the console-defining games? PS1, easy, Crash Bandicoot. You point at Crash Bandicoot and say, that's console generation defining. Spyro, there's a game called Croc that I would also rank in there. Croc was pretty popular. Tony Hawk, I mean, oh my god, Tony Hawk. But this is what I mean. I can just list off titles. What's it called? Resident Evil. Resident Evil also console generation defining. Go to PS2, GTA, you know, Crash Bandicoot was still on that. You have Sims, you have all these other things that came to PS2. And then you go on to PS3, you have Uncharted, The Last of Us, so on and so forth. And then you get to PS4, and you start seeing this weird trend of remasters. And don't get me wrong, and also GTA 5 was a PS3 game, so anyone who says GTA 5 on PS4, that's a PS3 era game. So PS4 is where it really started with the remasters and re-releasing. And look, we did get some gems in that generation. I didn't get to play, what's it called? Is it God of War? I didn't get to play that one. I didn't play through that one, but I know a lot of people enjoyed that game. I mean, you could also say Fallout, but that was a AAA game. That was also on the Xbox. But what I'm talking about is exclusives that define the PlayStation, solely the PlayStation. Where are those? PS4, I can't really... I'd have to really think about... I mean, Spider-Man. Okay, Spider-Man. We'll give Spider-Man credit. And, Ghost of Tsushima, was that a PS4 game originally? I don't know, because they've remastered it for PS5. I'm guessing it was a PS4 game. Death Stranding, I heard some good things about. I haven't actually played it. But if I had to think of this console, what will come to the top of my mind is a game that they never even ported over because it was a playable teaser. And that's the name of the game, PT. That was on the PS4, and that was freaking awesome. One of the best games I ever played. The best thing about it was that it was a trailer for a cancelled Silent Hills game. Sorry, I'm getting all my words mixed up today. But you know, the fact that that was a trailer for a cancelled game was one of the best games of that console generation should speak volumes that, okay, there was a bit of a problem. Because I should be able to list off 10 other franchises that were just as important to that. And yes, I can list them. We got all the exclusives. We got Horizon Zero Dawn, another one, great. But then we get to the PS5. I mean, we've got an Horizon game, but it was a PS4 era game. We've got Ghost of Tsushima running on it, PS4 era game. Death Stranding, PS4 era game. Spider-Man, they did the remaster for Spider-Man where they changed the character design to make it look more like Tom Holland, which I was kind of against because the original character design for Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man, was so much better and it looked like an older Peter Parker, you know? And then they had to change it. Which, hey, if it works for them, if it's their company, if they need to do their remaster, fine. I still have my disc version of Spider-Man on PS4, so if I ever need to play it, it will be backwards compatible. I've also played the thing because I bought Spider-Man 2 digitally. I bought that digitally. And for people saying about games, oh, okay, but digitally, aren't you a physical media collector? I am a physical media collector. But the truth of the matter is that in this day and age, it doesn't matter if I have a disc because they don't even ship the games finished half the time. So often, yes, you can put the disc in, and what you'll try to play without internet is, or without downloading a day one patch, is essentially broken. It won't work. It'll be all these bugs. It'll be so broken that it makes it almost unplayable. So the disc is basically useless for this console. They ship them in a broken state anyways. It's not like the PS2 era where if they shipped it in a broken state, they would have had to recall it and put a new version out. This version, the games they ship for this are essentially... and they're not all broken. Some ship in a really good state as well. Like, I think Horizon... No, that had a day one patch as well. This is the thing. All the games that release have a day one patch. But as I said, I think that we don't have any truly console exclusives that define this generation. I mean, there's the game that was built into this, the Astro one. Astro's Playland, I don't know. But, you know, the Astro game, that could maybe be console defining. I mean, it's an exclusive. It's something that's only on PS5, and, I mean, I played through it. It was alright. Nothing special, but I had a bit of fun playing that one. Came with the console, and I was like, cool, PS5, bang. And it shows you all the controllers. In fact, I would say that's probably console defining, because it shows you the new controller. It shows you everything it's capable of. But the problem is that, okay, you play the basically free tutorial of how the controller works with Astro and figure out all that, and you've completed the game. And I 100%ed that game. I platinum trophied it. But then what? They haven't put out... Have they put out a new, like Sackboy? I forget what it's called. Little Big Planet. Have they put out a new Little Big Planet? I mean, they could. They could do another Uncharted. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Uncharted, but it's definitely a PlayStation property that they should be looking at putting on the PS5. You know, one of the most popular franchises they have. They could probably create a new one. I mean, you also have The Last of Us, which, honestly, at this point, they're just going to keep remaking that thing until the end of time. And, honestly, yes, the TV show, for me, I don't know, it's okay. The TV show was good, and people will say, oh, but it was legendary, it was great. I prefer the game, to be honest. I mean, I've got the Blu-ray 4K up there. I can watch the TV show readily. It's available to me. But I prefer to play the game. If I'm going to experience that story, I want to play it on console the way it was intended. And I do have the, I did watch the TV show, and I did enjoy it. But yes, we're talking about gaming. I want to play The Last of Us as it was intended. And there's so many opportunities where I've had to play the new version, the PS5 remaster, the remake, whatever you call it, and I just haven't taken it up because every time I think of The Last of Us, I think of the old version, the original version, the remaster for PS4 where I first experienced The Last of Us. That's what I think of. That's the way I experienced it, and that's the way I want to continue to experience it. And luckily, this console is backwards compatible with PS4, so I can pop in the disc, or I can pop in an older version, or download the older version. But I should be able to pop in the PS3 version even and play that. And while they're not giving us any really console-defining games, well, it's kind of a problem. So why don't we just go back into the back catalogue without a subscription to PlayStation Plus? Or if you need to make emulation somehow viable, put the emulator in PlayStation Plus. And you know what? I will pay for PlayStation Plus if you put the emulator to play any disc game you have on this console. And then you're making money off it. You're making money off me. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation Plus subscription for games that you tell me you want me to play. I want to play the games I want to play. I want to pop Crash Bandicoot #1, not the Insane Trilogy, the original disc that I have. I want to pop that in the console and play it. But we're in this weird circumstance where Sony, Xbox, Nintendo to an extent, they've all got these subscription services and they all tell you what they want you to play. Nintendo's really insulted me. I've got it, but it's, it's okay. It's not anything special. I bought it for Tetris, really, because I'm a big fan of the Game Boy. And I play Tetris on there, and how does the Game Boy, the classic Game Boy thing, the app on there, how does that not have how does that not have Super Mario Land on it? A game that shipped, no, Tetris shipped with the Game Boy, but a game that was just as one of the biggest sellers for the Game Boy. How does that not ship with? How does that not be in the app for the Game Boy? How does Super Mario Land not end up in an app, a subscription-based app that they say, hey, subscribe and you can get the Game Boy games? A Game Boy defining, console defining game, how is that not in the app? And this is what I mean. I should have backwards compatibility. And yes, they're doing a PS4 Pro. Because this video was meant to be about PS4 Pro, even though I've went off on a rant. I know the fans here, they know what I'm like. If you're new, sorry. But yes, what good is a console? I'm going to do my Hugo Weaving impression, because Matrix, if anyone's a fan of the Matrix, there it is, bang, up here. I think that's out of frame, but it's up there. But, he says, what good is a phone call if you're unable to speak? And what good is a console if you're unable to play any new games? What good is a console if there are no new games? What good is a more powerful console if there are no games to take advantage of it? And you might say, yes, ray tracing on Spider-Man will be great. Cool, one game will take advantage of it. Horizon will be great. Yes, okay, cool. Where are the games that are going to take advantage of PS4 Pro? Seriously. We've only got 12 exclusives for the PlayStation 4. Oh, not PS4. PS5 Pro. PS5 Pro. Where are the games that are going to take advantage of the PS5 Pro? Seriously, tell me, because I'm not seeing them. I mean, we keep hearing about active development games, but where are they? They're not releasing them. They're not letting us have access to them. And while we're waiting, they're not letting us have access to our back catalogue of PS3, PS2, and PS1 games. So yeah, we're in this weird situation now where when I uploaded my last video, a lot of people didn't understand. When I said I'm retiring after PS5, it's the truth. I honestly, at this point, don't care how powerful the console is. Because if they can't be asked to make a game for the thing, the console means basically nothing to me. I'll go to the PC Master Race. I will go back and buy a PS3. I've already got a PS2 and PS1. But I'll go back and just play older games. I don't care. Because the catalogue of games, yes, as I said, this thing I bought early on, or not early on, like as soon as I could have got it. After, I think I got it 2021, 2022. This console, to me, is a failure. And not in terms of raw power, because I need to be clear about this. Not in terms of raw power, not in terms of what it brings to the table, but in terms of catalog and console defining games. We are at this point now where it just feels like this is a phoned-in generation. Like they had to release something because the PS4 was getting older, and they had to keep market share because Xbox was releasing something, and Nintendo doesn't compete. But like, they just released it because whatever. It was just like, okay, cool, let's do a bigger hardware version. But the thing is, they really should have been developing games for the PS5 in like 2016, 4 or 5 years ahead, so that when they dropped the PS5, they could have said, okay, coming out in a year, blah, coming out in another year or another 6 months, bang, and then had a release, and not all focused for the PS4. And you might say, okay, but studios will lose their money if they do that. Well, here's an idea. You want people on the new hardware, right? Give them backwards compatibility, like you did with the PS4. It is doable. And honestly, PlayStation has an emulator. As I said, PlayStation Classics work on this thing. I downloaded my GTA Trilogy version from here, the original PlayStation 2 Classic games onto here. So we do know there's a working emulator for PS2 on this thing. It can run PS2 games. Why can't I put it in a disc and play a PS2 game? It's because it's about money these days. It's not about love of gaming. It's not about this is for the gamers. It's not about whatever. It's about money. And I feel like that's so off-putting to a gamer that essentially you are a cash cow, and these companies are going to just say, okay, well, our fan base is going to run out and buy the PS4 Pro because even though we've got no games, it'll be more powerful. You'll have 67 teraflops or whatever it's going to be. Cool. What does that mean to me practically as a gamer? Cool, it's the most powerful console in the world. Cool. What does that mean to me? Cool. It can run ray tracing endlessly, no problem. Cool. Okay. What games are going to take advantage of this? Yeah, sorry, we don't have anything coming out. There's your problem. You can create the most powerful console in the world, but if the content isn't there, gamers aren't going to care. And I know the PC Remaster race are going to come and tell me, just go to PC. I do go to PC. The past couple of months, I've been really playing StarCraft. StarCraft, the original, not the remaster, the original that I grew up on. And I've been having the time of my life going back and re-experiencing that game because it is a part of my childhood. And it does mean a lot to me. And to see that it still runs as good as it used to is great to see. And yes, there is a remaster for people, newer fans. They've even got number 2, which honestly I never played. I saw the videos of it, but I never played it because I had a problem with that. Because they changed all the graphics, and even with the remaster, they changed all the graphics. It's like, I want the gritty, like, low-res version of things. The original StarCraft, there was nothing wrong with it. And you can see a lot of gamers going back to the original. 4x3, bang, who cares? Don't have to have widescreen. The graphics, bit blurry, fine, let's go with it. As long as the gameplay is really freaking good, people will come back time after time. It's why people go back and play things like the original Doom. It's why people go back and play games like StarCraft. If the game is good, people will go back. It's why people wanted the original World of Warcraft. And yeah, they got it. I was never a big Warcraft fan, but hey, that was a victory that they did the original, but that's only because someone created a version themselves because Bethesda wouldn't. Or is it Bethesda? Blizzard. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it there because I'm just ranting at this point. And if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, chuck a comment down below, turn on notifications, have a birthday cake, I don't know. what else do you do on YouTube? What else do YouTubers tell you to do? I don't know. But hey, if you enjoyed it, I'm glad you enjoyed it. What do you feel about the PS4 and PS4 Pro? Are you going to pick up the PS4 Pro? What are you looking forward to playing on it? But yeah, thank you, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out. Thanks for watching.